Hey YouTubers, this is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we have the LG washing machine. This is actually the LG washer dryer, but it's going to be similar for the washing machine that has the OE error. And the OE error means that for some reason the machine is not able to get rid of the water. It's not able to drain. It could be that it's just the drain pump down here, the coin trap, may have some stuff caught in it and it just can't get the water out. So we'll cover that first. It's really easy to fix that. But usually it means that the drain pump itself is having some trouble. So we're going to cover in the video how to easily replace the drain motor, which is very common. Usually about year 4 or 5 on most LG washing machines. The drain motor impeller kind of breaks free from the shaft and it wobbles around. I can't push the water anymore, it won't drain. When it won't drain, it also won't spin. And you'll get on the display the OE error. And again, very common. We'll cover today how to easily fix it. While you're here, could you please press the subscribe button below and then also press the little bell button, and we'll be able to send you new videos each week. A lot of them are on how to fix the LG machine. So again, this is the LG washer dryer. The LG washing machine alone, the approach to the drain motor, if that's the repair you need to do, is a little bit different. On this one, on this model, it's kind of easy because there's a bottom panel here that can come off. But on the regular washing machine, you have to take off the top panel and then take off some screws to get off the control panel. And then you can take off some screws to get off the front panel. And with the front panel off, it's really easy to get to. There's a third way to do it too that a lot of us appliance repair technicians do. We unplug it, we turn off the water, and we pull it away from the wall, and then we lean the machine back against the wall to about 45 degrees. And on the LG washing machine, there's a big opening underneath it. You can reach up underneath and do the whole motor exchange. So that's actually a pretty fast way. Not as easy to do as getting to it with the front panel removed. But again, on this model, the washer dryer, it's going to be pretty easy to do. So we'll cover that. First thing though, if you have the OE error, let's make sure that the coin trap itself is not the culprit. If it's got a bunch of stuff caught in it, like some old socks that got pulled in, or just a lot of debris, that can create a slow drain condition or a no drain condition, and that'll trigger the OE error. So to do that check, it's going to be really easy. All you're going to do to the legs out of the way so you guys can see through this side, and just use your thumb to push down to open up this one. And there's a little tube. Take the tube and bring it out like this, and then you want to have a pan down here. You could use like a frying pan, would be good because it's kind of low. It'll work out really good. Take out this little plug and let the water pour down into that pan. And when the pan gets too full, just put this back in. You can empty out the pan and then do it again. And you just keep doing that until all the water is out. And that's so that when you remove this coin trap, there's not a big flood of water. So this allows you to control it. You just put the plug in to stop it, open up the plug to let the water come out. And once all the water has come out of your machine, you can then open up the coin trap and see if there's something caught in there. That'd be great because it's so easy to fix that. You just take a couple of minutes to clean it out. And if that isn't it, you know, and then you can go to the next step, which will be the drain motor. The only other thing that could cause it would be if the drain tube behind the washing machine got really bent heavily, like a heavy crimp that was preventing the tube from being able to flow. But in my experience, that's very rare. And also the problem with the coin trap is actually pretty rare on the LG. Typically what it ends up being is the drain motor. But now we have all the water out, we take this big dial, we turn counterclockwise to the left, and that's going to let the coin trap come out. So when we pull it out, we can see that it's pretty clear. There's just a couple, it looks like some little paper debris in there, but fairly clear of any kind of obstruction. You just want to get all these little holes opened up so that water can flow through there really good. You could also take your index finger and reach in. There's a hole inside here. Reach into your left, and you should be able to feel the impeller. You can try and turn it with your finger. It should turn. It should be a little hard to turn because it has a little bit of a magnetic resistance, but it should be able to turn. Also, if you look directly at the very back of this, there's a little hole, and that's where the water comes down from the tub. There might be a sock stuck in there. So I've had that happen, and like, especially if you have baby socks, which are really small, they can get stuck. Just pull that out, and then you're gonna be good. You put your coin trap back in, and just turn clockwise all the way to the right until it can't turn anymore. Then you can just push this tube back into the little supports, close the door, and you're all done. So then when you test it, if you find out that, oh man, it's still filled up with water, it did its agitation, it did its, it tried to do its spin, but it couldn't because it couldn't drain, that would mean that that drain motor needs to be replaced. And it's no big deal. Drain motors are, for the LG are pretty cheap. The part number is 4681EA2001T. And these are typically $25 to $30. You can get them at Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. And it's just really the drain motor with the impeller. These tend to, I think these tend to work on pretty much all the LG models, as this little thing is the impeller. And usually when you look at the one that you take off, you'll notice that this thing's kind of loose, it's wobbling around, and that's really what's causing the OE error. But there should be, as you turn this, like a resistance, like a magnetic resistance, and then nice movement, magnetic resistance, nice movement, and that is normal. That's a good pump. If you just spin this and there's no resistance, that means it's no longer connected to the motor shaft and it won't work. So we just have two leads coming in, bringing it power. We have a couple of Phillips head screws holding it on, and that's it. So let's get to how we replace this. It's only going to take you a few minutes. And again, we have a link in the description below to order one. So we're going to get this off, and to do that, let's take off two gray Phillips head screws. They're painted, one here and one here. I think on the white model it might be just painted white. So we'll spin those off first. We'll just use a Phillips head screwdriver. Get that one out. There's like a painted top. And then there's one more up in the corner here. Got that one out. Okay, and then this is going to come off. You may want to use like a small flathead screwdriver to help you start it. But there's just some kind of friction pins. We just have to break the friction. You can see it's coming out. So now I got it out. I'm going to lift up, and that's going to take it off of 4 metal pins coming out of the frame. I lift it up, get it off. I got to feed this tube out of here. Okay, so we got that off. We had those little holes there, and there were some 3 metal indexing points from the frame. And now we have some pretty good ability to see what's going on with the pump. There's 3 screws holding the pump in position. We're going to undo those so that we can kind of move the motor around so we can get to it a little bit better. So these screws are just stainless, I think stainless steel, but they're not painted. Okay, we got those out. Get it off to the side. I'm gonna bring the camera over here so you guys can see better what's going on with the pump. All right, so let's back a little bit. Here's the pump. Now that it's loose, move it around a little bit. We have these 2 power leads. I want to take those off. So you can take this wire and just pull it out underneath this little clip that's just holding the wire in. And you can pull these off, wiggle and pull. And that's going to bring the power wires off of the pump. Wiggling those off. So connected to that pump is 2 hoses, but we don't need to disconnect those hoses. There's a way to get to the motor without disconnecting it. All right, since we got those screws out, we can kind of move the whole motor assembly a little bit out into toward the back of the machine. It's going to expose 3 Phillips head screws. There's one here at the top. There's one down at about, the camera to see that, at about the 4 o'clock position. And there's one on the other side. Can't see it well. Show you guys the angle. Lift this up. One down there. So guys, we got off the old pump and it's still in good shape actually. We're just replacing this because it's about 4 years. It's not failed yet, but it's probably about to fail. And usually when it fails, this impeller just gets loose. It kind of wobbles. This one's actually good, but it get that wobbly thing going and you know you have to replace it. So if we look at the new pump, we notice that when it's installed, it's going to be at an angle. So it won't be straight up and down, and it won't be sideways. It's going to be 45 degrees. And we notice that there is no screw in the first hole. There is a screw in the next hole, the second hole. There is a screw in the third hole, and there is a screw in the fifth hole. And before we put this one back in, we have to take this white case off the old one and put on the new one. To get that white case off, you just have to pry it off. There's a little screw that we already took out right here, and now we can just pry off the old one. So I kind of lift it with my thumb, and you can wiggle it off. Somewhat flexible. The part number on the one that just came off is 4681EA2001T. It also says on the side on the sticker it says 45 degrees. So it's just telling you to make sure it's at 45 degrees. Okay, so now that's the old one. We have the new one. We do want to put on this case. You got to get this little screw, the one that's at the very top. We're going to pull that one out just for a second to make room. Get this new one on. And that just fits on, and you kind of wiggle it, get it on, stretch it, keep pushing, it'll kind of click into place. That's good. And then you'll notice you can put a screw now in, and that goes over the white case and through the black frame, and then that's going to go into the pump. And now this one is ready to put into the pump housing, and it'll be a brand new one. It'll get rid of the OE error. We just got to make sure we get these screws in pretty tight because we don't want there to be a leak. We'll test it for a leak before we fully finish up, but we want to make sure that those screws are pretty tight. So we'll do that next. Okay guys, so I did get those screws tightened. There's one there, one at the bottom, and there's one on the other side, right about where my finger is here. Get those all tight with Phillips head screwdriver. I'm gonna put this back into position and pull this black tube out so it's nice and long. Black tube, pull that out. We're going to put these guys back on. You can put either power wire color on either terminal. It doesn't matter, no polarity, but you do want to wiggle them and push them all the way as far as they're going to go. Do the other one. That's bringing power to the pump. We got the pump nice and clear of any obstruction. We got a new motor on there. I'm gonna put this little wire back in. And now we're gonna put screws back in the front to hold the pump housing against the frame. So there's 3 silver ones we're going to put in to hold it. One at the bottom. And then 2 at the top. And they're just holding the pump housing against this metal frame. Okay, that's in there nice and tight. Got this done. What you might want to do next up, before you put it all back together, you can open this and pour some water in. And the water will go down into the tub and it'll go down through a black boot. And if there's any kind of leak at the drain where we took those screws out, you'll see it. You may need to tighten those screws up just to make sure before you really finish it up and install it. So we'll pour some water in at the top and we'll make sure there's no leak. Let's do that next. Okay, we'll do the leak test before we put it all back together. So we're just going to pour a little water into the tub. Not much, could use a couple cups of water is good. And we want to just make sure we don't get any leaking at the bottom. We'll take a look. You want to give it a few minutes to work its way down there. Just want you guys to be aware that when you put those screws back in, you do want to use a fairly new Phillips head screwdriver, because if it's kind of a worn out bit, it'll tend to skip out. You won't get the screws tight enough. You probably have a leak. So make sure you have a fairly new bit, or you can use like a hand-driven one too. You don't have to use a motorized one, and really get them tight so you don't have a leak. So once you've made sure there's no leak, next thing is to take this lower case, open up that door, and you're going to feed the tube, the drain tube, through that opening, and then you're going to set the plastic down onto the 3 indexing metal points of the frame, and you can just push it, it'll click in. We got to put 2 Phillips head screws down there, and you're done. One in there, I'll do one at the bottom. Okay, that's in there. We're going to put the hose back in its bracket. Close that, and you should be good. Should give you another 4 or 5 years without the OE error. So that's how you do it. Again, you can check the coin trap first, because it might just be a clog. And if that doesn't do the trick, then it's time to get one of those inexpensive motors, and just need a Phillips screwdriver, a little bit of time, and you'll be fine. Again, make sure you check it, pour a little water in there before you do the final assembly. Hey YouTubers, today we have a LG washer dryer combination, and it's having trouble on the rinse cycle. It just pauses, and we sometimes get an error code, and also it doesn't seem to be filling very well. So it takes too long to fill. This is a model number WM3488HS. And we're going to try, first thing, got it unplugged. I'm going to go around behind it, and we're going to check out these filters here. Thanks so much for watching our video today. I hope that this video has saved you some time and money. And if so, could you please press down in the video description below the donation link and send us a donation so we can keep this service going. Thanks again, and if you have any questions about this repair, could you contact me at scottthefixitguy@yahoo.com. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.